The member from Toronto Danforth.
Thank you, Speaker. My question to the Premier. Not a single Ontarian voted to sell Hydro One. Not a single Ontarian. And for months, the Premier and her ministers insisted that was never the plan. They stood in the legislature and insisted that Hydro One was staying public. Now they've changed their tune, and the Premier is insisting a sell-off was the plan the whole time. Yeah. This is a mess, Speaker. While the Liberals are making a 180-degree turn, Ontarians are sending a clear message. Stop the sell-off. Will the Premier give Ontarians a chance to have their say on Hydro One in a binding referendum?
Minister of Energy.
Speaker, let's examine exactly what's happened since 2013. Pre-election 2013, we had a budget, Mr. Speaker, which indicated that we were going to assess all of our entrepreneur assets for repurposing to invest in infrastructure. After the election, Mr. Speaker, we had a budget that was approved, Mr. Speaker, based on specifically reviewing, among other things, energy agencies in terms of repurposing those assets, Mr. Speaker. Coming forward, Mr. Speaker, before the last election, in April 2013, Mr. Speaker, we appointed Mr. Clark and the Asset Council to review. They studied that, Mr. Speaker, for almost a year. They then provided an interim report, Mr. Speaker. They did further analysis. They provided a report, Mr. Speaker. Everybody in this province who was paying any attention knew where we were going with this issue.
Thank you. Supplementary.
Nice try.
Actually, many of them read that interim report saying that it shouldn't be sold off. They knew where it should be going. Ontarians own Hydro One. It's clear they were kept in the dark. For months, the Liberal government insisted that Hydro One would stay public. Ontarians want a say. They don't want to pay the price for this wrong decision. Will the Premier give Ontarians a say on Hydro One by putting this to a full public referendum?
Thank you. Minister.
Mr. Speaker, there have been a lot of major decisions, major initiatives that have taken place in this House, Mr. Speaker. Some of the most important in the history of this province, Mr. Speaker. They did not go forward with a referendum, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we have made this very part of our agenda since 2013. We're moving forward with an agenda that makes sense. Mr. Speaker, the idea of broadening the ownership of public agencies is not new. The NDP in Manitoba, Mr. Speaker, introduced a balanced budget bill, and they were proposing privatizing their agencies, Mr. Speaker.
The two-way conversations have to stop. I need to focus. Just finish. Wrap up, please.
I'll wrap up, Mr. Speaker, with that final comment that it's called the Balanced Budget Fiscal Management and Taxpayer Accountability Act, introduced by the NDP government in Manitoba. An NDP for sure, okay, Mr. Speaker, where they want to consider the privatization of Manitoba Hydro, the Manitoba Public Insurance Corporation, and others, Mr.